Excellent. So welcome everyone. My name is Maureen Meredith. I work for the City of Austin Housing and Planning Department, and I do all the plan amendments that come through the city. If you haven't done so already, please let us know who's here by typing your name in the chat box. If you're with an organization, if you could please add that as well. I will use this as the official sign-in sheet for the meeting tonight. Please mute your microphone if you're joining by phone or online, and if you could please turn off your video if you're participating online to save the bandwidth. And this meeting is being recorded. See, my slide's not moving. Again, it's not moving. Hold on. Looks like it's frozen. Hold on. Christine, I'm frozen, so let me try to figure something out here. I may have to log off real quick and come back on. Hold on one second.
For everyone who's just joined, if you want to type in the chat your name and if you're with an organization, Maureen will use this as a kind of record or a sign-in sheet. So it'd be helpful if you would at least put your first name and if you're a neighbor or from an organization. Thanks.
And still having trouble. Hang with me. Don't know why. There we go. Okay, so hopefully this will not freeze up again. So let me see, actually, let me go back. There we go. Okay, so how to participate today. The speech bubble in the menu bar at the top or at the bottom of your screen will open a chat box where you can type in your questions at any time. Please limit general comments until the end of the Q&A session. After the presentations, you can click on the raise hand icon to be called on to speak. So we're going to just introduce myself, and then Jesse will introduce himself, and then the agent and their representatives can introduce themselves. So like I said, my name is Maureen Meredith. I work for the City of Austin Housing and Planning Department, and I do all the plan amendment cases in the city. Plan amendment cases require this ordinance, by ordinance requires this community meeting. It's an informational meeting where people will get to listen to the applicant, present their project and ask questions. And so Jesse, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Jesse Gutierrez. I am a planner with the Inclusive Planning Division within the Housing and Planning Department. And I work on small area plans in the city. And I'm here to assist Maureen and kind of watch the chat box and, see if anyone has their hands up to ask questions and make sure that, everyone can get their questions answered. Thanks.
Tillery, would you like to go next?
Sure, yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tillery Carter. I'm a consultant to the applicant Live Make Housing Partners, LP, and I'm joined tonight with my team members, Teresa Boyer and Ivana Wang. And yeah, we're excited to be here and to present our project to you all.
case if any one of the agents want to introduce yourself, you can go ahead and do it now, or we can just move on. It's up to you. Just go ahead. Nope. Okay, so we'll just move on here. So here's my contact information. I am the plan amendment case manager. Heather Chafin is the zoning case manager, and here's our contact information. I'll also have this information at the end of the presentation. As you know, this is within the Govalle Johnston Terrace combined neighborhood planning area. It's in the Govalle area of the combined planning area. So the agenda tonight, I will go over the basic case information, how to participate in the process, why is there a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map. Actually, Hillary said she doesn't have a formal presentation, but she might have some information to share. Then we'll open the floor to questions and answers. So the property has multiple addresses, 1127, 1129, which is a portion of that property, 1129 and a half, which is also a portion of Tillery Street, and 118, 1202, and 1204 Henninger Street. It's about 2.635 acres tract of land. The plan amendment case number is NPA 2021-0016.05.sh, and the SH stands for Smart Housing. The project name is Live Make Apartments. The request is to change the future land use map from single family to neighborhood mixed use. The associated zoning case number is C14 2021-0172.sh. The request is to change the zoning from SF3NP to LOMUCONP for affordable housing, multifamily, residential with ground floor art space. So the SF3 is residential, single family. The LO is limited office, mixed use, and the CO means proposing a conditional overlay. The property owner applicant is Austin Housing Finance Corp, and the agent is Live Make Housing Partners. Hillary Anderson Carter will be the agent. So the guidelines for group discussion, please feel free to type your questions into the chat any time during this meeting. Please postpone general comments during the Q&A session. After the presentations, if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand symbol on the menu bar. Telephone participants will be able to speak during the Q&A session of the meeting as well. Attendees will be muted upon arrival and through the staff and applicant presentations. Then staff will open the floor to questions, to open the floor to answer questions in the chat and by attendees raising their hands to speak. Similar questions may be grouped and answered together. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking for the sake of sound quality and clarity of conversation. If you're having connection issues, please turn off your video until called upon to ask your questions. So how to participate. If you have questions after this meeting, they will be answered and made available by request within 5 business days and posted to the website speakupboston.org/NPA. This is also the website where the recorded meeting will be posted probably tomorrow morning. You can email or call me or Heather anytime with your questions or comments that you have. You can email us written comments that will be added to staff case reports, and you will get a notice in the mail the date and time of the Planning Commission and City Council hearings if you live within 500 feet. The notice will have instructions on how to participate in these meetings. The case has not been scheduled for Planning Commission or City Council at this time. So why is there a neighborhood plan amendment? So neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. City Charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most NPAs are amendments to the plan's future land use map, and most NPAs have an associated zoning application. This map shows the areas in blue that have City Council approved neighborhood plans. Neighborhood Plans consist of a plan document that have the vision, goals, and recommendations written in text in the plan, which are used as a guide when staff makes a recommendation. And they also have a future land use map that looks like this. And this is the land use map for future land use map for the Govalle Johnston Terrace neighborhood planning area. These colors represent broad land uses. For example, yellow represents single family, and that's what's currently on the property. And the proposed land use is neighborhood mixed use, which is represented by the brown color with white stipple on it. And this chart shows how the typical zoning cases relate to the future land use map. So there are zoning cases that are considered compatible with various land use categories. So right now the property is zoned SF3, and the current land use on the future land use map is yellow. With the proposed zoning of LOMU, it would change to brown with white dots on it. This is sort of a zoomed in area of the future land use map to show it is yellow, representing single family. This map just shows that aerial photo that it is undeveloped. This is just a Google map screenshot to show some of the surrounding uses on the property. This is a future land use map that shows the future land uses yellow, and the surrounding land uses on the property are also yellow. This is a zoning map that shows it's zoned SF3, also with these surrounding properties. This is a Google Map screenshot of the property as it from Tillery Street facing the property. This is a screenshot looking south on Tillery Street. Where that orange truck is pulling out, I have just the next slide that shows the development that's going on this street. This is across the street from the property. This is a view north on Tillery Street. And this is just a screenshot of property to the north of the subject tracks. This map is the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan's growth concept map. And the next slide shows the property in relation to the activity centers and corridors. So we have Springdale and I believe that's Airport and the Springdale Station Activity Center. And this map shows the proximity to public transportation, the routes around the property. And that is my end of my presentation. I will leave a map up, or unless Tillery, did you want to just go ahead and put up your?
Yeah, I can just show, I'll share my screen. Okay. So this is just an elevation rendering of the project and property. It gives you a sense of kind of its orientation, and it's 3 stories. This also, it'll have a crosswalk between 2 buildings that will ensure both buildings are ADA accessible. One building will have an elevator, but again, because of the crosswalk, it ensures the second building is also accessible. And then here, and this is kind of getting into the granular, but these are the layouts for the 66 units with the different unit types. And I'm happy to talk more about those if people have questions. And then that's the 2nd and 3rd floor. And then this is, and this doesn't have the exact acreage updated for how the land will be subdivided, but the parkland will be retained in the northern part of the site, and the southern part of the site is about 2.6 acres that will be the affordable housing development. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Anyone have any questions? Rebecca?
Hi there. Yes, so the last hearing that y'all had in the fall of 2019, I believe, it was decided that the old established pecan trees were going to be protected, and the only area that was going to have development for, at the time, the single family use was the field adjacent to the pecan grove. Is that still the case with the change in this zoning application?
So the northern site is all parkland, as you can see here, and all of the heritage trees are preserved. The way the buildings have been oriented on the site in question that we're seeking the rezoning on avoids any disruption of any of the heritage trees, so they're all retained on the southern part of the site as well. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. Yeah, that was my biggest concern, was that the change in the zoning was going to change the development of the land to where the trees wouldn't be protected anymore. Do you know if the parkland is going to be available for public use, or will it be private use for the residents of the development?
It'll be public use.
Okay.
That parkland will, HFC is going to transfer that ownership to PARD, Parks and Recreation Department. And I think we're going to help PARD maybe program some part of the park, but it's a neighborhood community effort on what the programming will look like in the parkland section in the north.
I have one other question. Do you have information on how you're going to preserve the integrity of the root systems with all of this development adjacent to such a large pecan orchard, knowing that the pecans are all one connected organism and their root systems go really deep and reach far, even far into the field nearby? And so any development on the field nearby could potentially impact the health and integrity of the nearby pecan orchard.
Yeah, I know that the city had hired, I can't remember, it was an external arborist who did an assessment of every single tree on the site. But I know, and Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, but the development team will be working closely with either the city's arborist or an external arborist to ensure that there's no disruption to the existing heritage tree root system. Is that correct?
Yeah, and this is Teresa Boyer. I'm also consulting on the project. I know Civilitude's on, and they might be able to speak in more technical terms, but they've brought on a landscape architect as well, who's pretty familiar with critical root zones, a group, it's Rialto, and they've also done a lot of work with the city. So they're really familiar with all this and very comfortable with it. So I have full faith in them, but Civilitude, if I've left anything out, feel free to jump in here. And I did want to point out too, I know y'all got a notification that had initially had the entire site shown as being the plan amendment and the full site being rezoned. We are not, so this case is only for the southern portion. The northern portion will not be, the plan won't be amended, and the site, that part of the site won't be rezoned. So the parkland won't even be touched, if that helps assure you as well that will be left as is.
Yes, yeah. It does. Thank you. That was very, very concerning. That the thought that all of those trees could be killed and destroyed for development.
Yeah, no, we're going to preserve them as like we promised. I think this right now it's a bunch of different lots that are put together, and so it just they kind of all got lumped in. But do not worry. All of the trees on the northern portion will remain undisturbed. So, but with that, yes, Civilitude, Ivana, or I don't know if Iad's still on. If you guys have anything to add, feel free to jump in.
Good evening, everyone. So basically, the city of Austin, they have their own rules regarding protecting the trees, and the limit of construction will be only on the south portion of the property, so will not disrupt any of the 2.35 parkland acres, and all the buildings, the new developments will be outside of the half-root zone. So we have a third-party arborist, certified arborist, working with the city arborist, like side by side, to make sure we are protecting all those trees and not damage them through the construction.
Also, Rebecca, we did send out a revised notice of filing. I do hope that you got that in the mail. We sent it to everybody who lived within 500 feet. So I hope y'all got that revised notice of filing.
I did, but like you were saying earlier, it showed the entire lot, including the parkland and the field.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult to tell from what y'all sent to people within the area. It looked like it was the entire lot.
Yeah, it was just they had revised their application after I had signed off on it, and I didn't realize that. So the notice went out on a previous request. So that was my error. So I believe we got that sorted out. Any other questions?
There's a question. There's a couple questions in the chat, and I think we should read them
Okay.
out loud since I don't think the chat shows up on the video recording. The first one is the only ingress egress is on Tillery, correct? And they're asking if there will be driving access to the building from Henninger. And I believe Ivana might have answered that in the chat, but I don't know if Ivana wants to expand on that or not.
Yeah, the only ingress egress point will be through Tillery Street, just like that rendering shows. So there will not be driving access through Henninger.
Great. And then Maggie also asked if the plan is still to create pedestrian access to the parkland from Henninger as well.
Yes, that is currently the plan.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Go back to see Matt.
Hey, so I'm on the residence on the eastern side, or one of the residents on the eastern side, and there's a little alley that connects, or that goes up Henninger Street behind my house, and it appears that pedestrian path like runs parallel to that. And I just want to make sure that you'll be running parallel, or will you be connecting with the little finger of Henninger Street that runs up behind those houses on the eastern side of the rendering? I don't know if that's maybe too nuanced of a question.
Ivana,
yeah, that's a good question. We actually haven't worked out the kinks of it yet. Yeah, do you have any say?
So basically, we still like an early stage in the design, and we are going to meet with the Austin Transportation Department and board to work with them on the access, like the pedestrian access. But I believe the access will be parallel to Henninger Street. And I believe there is an existing right of the way to run that pedestrian access. So it basically will be just like a sidewalk.
Okay. Yeah, that driveway is unusable. It doesn't connect with any house, or doesn't back up to any house. It doesn't really serve any purpose. So my thought was that if you are going to run a sidewalk parallel to it, you could just like rip up that concrete. But that's maybe pie in the sky.
Yeah. So Matt, I mean, we are working with ATD to address this issue. I mean, this area is like a mess, and we will clean it up within the site plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Rebecca has a question in the chat. What is the estimated timeline and schedule for this project?
Teresa, do you want to take that question, or do you want me to answer?
Yeah, well, I can, I'll leave the technical permitting kind of portion up to Civilitude if they have something to add. But loosely, we are expecting, we applied for part of our funding and expect that to be released and then probably close on that at the end of next year, so late 2022. And we would start, I think we're also anticipating permits about the same time, late 2022, which means we could, once both those things are in hand, we could start construction. And we have about a 12, 14 month construction period that we're holding. So our goal is to really get this wrapped up and have folks in at end of 2023 or early 2024, which I know sounds like forever from now. And I think that the plan is also for the parkland to be planned and developed at the same time as the project, so that it would all be delivered at the same time. So, and Civilitude, if you all have something to add, hop in. But that's kind of a big picture view. Obviously things will evolve a little bit, but I think that's a pretty good idea of where we're sitting.
That's right. I don't have too much to add. We're shooting to get our site permit sometime late June, early July.
So it looks like Rebecca has a follow-up. Will there be an updated plan and meeting to review the comprehensive park plan?
Just to clarify, is that is it a question about whether PARD is going to rezone that northern part of the site or amend the future land use map, Rebecca?
No, it's more of just a question of, how they intend to use the land. Are they going to leave it untouched? Or do they plan to add anything to it if they're, going to make it a public use park? I'm just wondering if there's going to be any sort of updated meeting to see what that is. And another thing I think that a lot of people that live in the area are concerned about is there's a lot of native species that live in those trees, like owls and hawks and migratory birds, and the disruption of their life with construction and how that's all going to be mitigated, along with protecting the root systems of the trees. With that field being so close to those trees, their root systems are really vulnerable, and it could wipe out that whole orchard if they're harmed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from PARD about any kind of rendering or plan for the.
Yeah, Hillary, I can speak to that. We just had a conversation with Rialto, who's also the landscape architect for our project, but likely will be for the parkland portion too. And we have a meeting set up with PARD next Monday to discuss next steps. I know there will be more opportunity for neighborhood input on what we want to see here, what y'all want to see here. I just don't think we know exactly what the timing of that is yet, but you will absolutely, have an opportunity to participate. And I would say, I don't know who the point of contact would be for that other than us. But if you have a contact, Thomas at PARD might be a good person if you want to pop in with him eventually, but I'm sure we'll be communicating with all the both Govalle Neighborhood Association and the neighborhood plan contact team once we understand kind of what the scope and the timing is like on that.
Okay, I'm looking to see if anybody has raised hands. Don't see any. I'll wait to see if anybody has any questions. So while we're waiting, I'll just go ahead and just walk through very briefly what the next steps will be. After this meeting, I will meet with my planning team and we'll make a recommendation on the proposed flum change. The zoning planners will meet. They'll make a recommendation on the proposed zoning change. We'll work with the Govalle Johnston Terrace Neighborhood Plan Contact Team on their recommendation. Once all this is finalized, we'll start looking at the schedule for Planning Commission and City Council. Like I said, we don't have it scheduled at this time. People who rent or own property within 500 feet will get that notice in the mail. And if you wanted to email me, my email is on that community meeting notice. If you wanted to email me comments that you would like added to staff case reports, you can do that now, or you can touch base with me in a week or two to see the status of when it's going to be scheduled for Planning Commission, and you can send it at that time. So any questions on the process? No? Okay, someone's typing. We'll see. There's a question. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Why is this even happening? Who benefits from this?
I can speak to that. So this land has been owned by Austin Housing Finance Corporation for several decades, I think. They've been, they're different parcels. And HFC has a goal to create more affordable housing across the city, and the neighborhood and HFC also, and the development team all wanted to preserve the history of the pecan grove as well. So it was really the first partnership between Austin Housing this is the first partnership between Parks and Recreation and the Austin Housing Finance Corporation that's ever been done, interestingly enough. And we're hoping that it really meets two City of Austin specific needs, right? Environmental goals and also affordable housing goals. Does that answer your question?
Okay, have more people typing. Okay, we'll continue to wait, see if anybody has any more questions. Okay, so if there's no more questions, wait, Matt is typing. Can you tell me more about the art space on the first floor?
Sure, yeah. The planned art space is about 6,000 square feet, and the vision is to, it'll be open to the public, free, no charge, and we're hoping that some of the residents who Imagine Art, the nonprofit that is on the development team, serves, who are very low income individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, will also be able to use that space, that art space as well. And the plan right now is for a ceramic studio because it's I guess a welcoming and adaptive kind of art. And yeah, so that's the plan. Does that answer your question?
So he has a follow-up. Is that open to the entire community or is it just for residents? You may have answered that, but.
Yeah, it's open to the entire community, not just residents. And it's, again, free of charge there will be no cost for anyone to use the space.
Okay, we'll wait a little bit longer. Okay, we'll wait a few more minutes. So Maggie asked previously there were other housing options outside of apartment with less units. Are these options no longer being evaluated?
That's correct. I'm not sure what it, yeah, I'm not sure maybe what options the individual is thinking of, but when we did the analysis, given the sort of site constraints of protecting all the trees and kind of maximizing it is a relatively small amount of land for housing, multifamily housing made the most sense. Yeah.
So Matthew asked, is the property 100% affordable, or are there market rate units as well?
The property, all 66 units are income restricted to a variety of income levels. Imagine Art predominantly serves very low income individuals who are usually living on SSI or SSDI, that's Social Security, and disability. Excuse me. And but there is a broad range of income levels represented, 30% area median income, 50% and 60% area median income.
So Matthew gave a thumbs up. So Tina asked, I'm not within 500 feet, but I'm nearby. How do I stay informed about what's happening?
Maureen?
I'll kind of answer that real quick, or hopefully help answer that. You know, y'all at the city will obviously send out your notifications within a certain distance, but both the Govalle Neighborhood Association and the Govalle Johnston Terrace Neighborhood Plan contact team will be looped in as we move forward. And I'm not sure from the city side, but I assume that y'all will also be keeping those organizations in the loop as the rezoning case moves forward as well. So hopefully, if you are within either of those areas nearby, then you should be getting your information from those groups if you need it, or you're welcome to contact us on the applicant side. I think that information is available, Maureen, and if it's not, I think we can certainly offer a single point of contact.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Tina, if you wanted, I could type in my email. You can email me, and I can do my best to keep you in the loop of what's going on and the progress of the application. Actually, I should give my phone number too. So yeah, you can email me, and it's also a good idea. I think I'm handling like maybe 40 cases right now. So it would be good if you could like put it on your calendar to maybe, you know, occasionally once a week, touch base with me to check on updates. I'll try to remember as well, but it probably would be best if you could also touch base with me once a week, and I can give you any updates that I have. So she says, how can we ensure that this area will remain protected? The way Austin is going, there'll be no trees left to enjoy from development.
I think I spoke to this earlier, that all of the trees on this heritage trees on the site will be protected, so none of them will be taken down.
And it will be dedicated parkland as well that PARD will own. So if that helps reassure you that it will be there to enjoy, not only for the residents, but also the greater community will be able to enjoy that orchard.
Yeah, I think it's important just to remember that both the north side will be owned, as Teresa said, by Parks and Recreation, and the southern side of the site will be owned by Austin Housing Finance Corporation. So it'll remain publicly owned land.
Okay, looking to see if any hands raised. Nope. No more questions typed. Okay, just wait a minute or so, see if there's any more last minute questions. If not, we can end the meeting a little early. And just to remind everyone, this recorded meeting I'll post to the Speak Up Austin website. For people who live in the neighborhood, if you have any neighbors who were unable to attend tonight, they can watch the video on that website, speakupaustin.org/NPA. Okay, so it looks like people are leaving the meeting. So if there's no more questions, I will go ahead and end the meeting. I'll just wait a few more seconds and then I'll have Jesse stop recording. Okay, Jesse, if you want to stop recording.